everybody, and welcome to a special holiday edition of Boobies and Newbies, the podcast that asks novice romance readers to think outside the dick in a box and brave the unbridled world of erotica. I'm your host, Kelly Reynolds, and today's romance review marks the fourth episode in Boobies and Newbies' annual holiday special, The 12 Days of Boobsmas. Now, we are just getting started with our series of 12 holiday-themed romances, 12 mini-pods, and 12 giveaways, all in the month of December. That means a full month of turkey, traditions, and getting snowed in with your brother's hot teammate. And personally, I wouldn't have it any other way. Now, the best way to keep up with what we're reading next is to follow Boobies and Newbies across the socials at Boobies Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm also at Real Kelly Ray, R-E-Y, on TikTok. Be sure to keep an eye out for all of our Boobsmas giveaway opportunities. By the time this episode airs, there will only be a few left to enter. If you feel like spreading a little extra dose of Boobsmas cheer, you might consider leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or supporting the podcast on Patreon, both of which would certainly make my Christmas a little jollier. In addition to this year's Boobsmas reads, I'd also like to shamelessly plug my own holiday novella, Meet Me in Los Feliz, which is available now. So grab your ebook or paperback copy and maybe an extra one for the romance reader in your life. No pressure. Last but not least, if for some reason you've missed out on any of our previous podcast episodes, or you feel like you just can't wait until the next Boobsmas episode drops, you can find all of our episodes along with so much more on our one-stop shop of a website, boobiesandnewbies.com. And now, please join me in welcoming my fourth day of Boobsmas guest, fellow podcasting pal, and the mastermind behind What to Read Next and What to Listen Next. It's Laura.
Hello! I am so excited to be here. This is very exciting.
I am always happy to have you here. I am always happy to chat with you. I think it's been a while since our last podcast collab. If I remember correctly, it was what we fondly refer to as the Horse Girl book. So this is a departure from that, but exciting nonetheless.
It is exciting to be in Boobsmas because I feel like I had a holiday journey when I started this podcast journey. I only read one holiday book in 2017, and then ever since then, I've added more and more holiday books. And so this is just kind of like 5 years later. Now I feel like compelled to be part of the holiday conversation. So,
I love that. Before, were you kind of like anti-holiday romance or just like anti-holidays in general?
Personally, I did not care about holidays in general because I didn't get to spend it most of the time. I was spending it by myself in New York. Because plane tickets were really expensive. And the holiday season was always like really stressful when I was growing up. So it was never like a fun holiday season. So I never couldn't care less about holidays, and I grew up in a warm holiday, so I appreciate your book because it was a warm holiday experience. And then I lived for the past 20 years up north in the New York and Chicago area, and so I got to do the winter holidays, and now I'm back in Florida. So yeah, holidays were just kind of like, it is what it is.
I've been in New York exactly one time, but I have lived in Chicago around the holiday season. And in fact, when I did visit New York, it was in November leading up to the holiday season. I was there when they hadn't decorated the big tree yet, but the one by Rockefeller Center, I'm saying big tree, there's probably a million big trees, but it was the one by the ice skating in Rockefeller Center. And they had gotten the tree, but it wasn't decorated yet. So I did get to see the naked tree, like pre-holiday time. But from living in LA, it was always a time of year where everybody left, like during the holidays. Like nobody stayed. And I guess I just always thought that, like, we see so many movies and books that are set in New York during the holidays. So coming from somebody who has lived there, do people flock to New York for the holidays or do they get away?
So I think I would say New York. You went the best time, which is November, December. That's the best time to go to New York. You get to probably get a little snowflake here and there. Get to see the Christmas windows. You get to see the Christmas tree. You get to
Yeah.
see the Christmas traditions, and get to ice skate and do all the fun stuff. But the reality is, the Christmas Day pretty much is empty. Like people just get like Chinese food, and you may go to a restaurant and get food, but most of the people leave the city. Like at least the local New Yorkers leave the city to go see their family, and
Yeah.
then the tourists are the ones flocking to city, and so it gets crowded in Times Square, but no local New Yorker will go to Times Square. So
No,
it's
of course not.
so it's just like it's very touristy for the parts where it's very touristy, and so you see it's crowded and it's like busy. Reality is that no local New Yorker. Most holiday seasons, it's empty. It's like a great time to be in
Mm,
New York. Like you can get reservations where you want to go. Like the same happens Fourth of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day. Those seasons, it's like the city is empty. Like the
yeah.
parts where the local New Yorkers hang out, like the West Village, Better Park City, Upper West Side, Upper East Side, city's empty and it's amazing.
So what you're saying is every Christmas movie set in New York lied to us.
Yes. Yes. A lot of the media that portrays New York as one way, it has lied to us. You
Hmm.
know, like they're like things I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna hang out in Times Square. I read a book and they're like, I'm gonna take you on a first date to Times Square. And I was like, no local New York would ever dare to do that.
Immediately no. Immediately no.
That's like a red flag. I'm like, oh no.
It's so
Like,
true. Like New Yorkers to Times Square is like Los Angelinos in on Hollywood Boulevard. Like, do you
yeah.
think we just hang out there for fun?
You're just like, no. Like the only reason, and if I would go to Times Square, like I wouldn't go to Times Square. I would go to Ninth Avenue for Broadway, and at one point I
Mm,
worked on 42nd Street and Sixth Avenue in Bryant Park. And even that I still avoided Times Square. Like it was like the subway. It was sometimes the subway would be easier just to walk Seventh Avenue, and I'll avoid it. I was like, no,
yeah.
I'm just gonna walk a little bit longer, and maybe I'll go to the East Side, go to Grand Central, and like do this part. Yeah, like it's you avoid that area like because there's so many tourists, like there's so many, like it's just yeah. So
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we've romanticized small
Mhm.
towns mostly in holiday
Yeah,
romance. And,
yeah.
that'll even pop up in the book we're talking about today. But when we do see cities in romance novels that are set during the holiday season, they typically happen to be New York. I think you'll get a couple of
Mhm.
Chicago's thrown in there, but it's mostly New York. So thanks for setting the record straight.
Yeah, first of all, if you're a local New Yorker, chances are, unless you have a job, because a lot of people are underpaid in New York and it's a really expensive city,
Sure.
so it's not as easy to get away from it. But at the same time, you probably are not gonna go like have this like big, stuff,
Yeah.
And the same goes for like I just read on the book and they're like, oh, I just travel from like New York to like. First of all, the train system was wrong. She was like, she needed to go to to New Jersey, and she was like, I'm meeting in Grand Central. I was like, the train doesn't stop in Grand Central. You have to go to Penn Station for that. So even the little things like, like I'll go to the city, I'll go to Jersey one day and then come back to the city the next day. Chances are, no, you're probably going to stay for a couple of days, like get out of, the city, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, you're somebody who has lived in several places, like
Yeah.
myself. And so naturally, between all those places, I'm sure the holidays have looked a little bit different. And I'd love to know, what is one of your favorite holiday traditions or memories?
So I would say my favorite holiday tradition that I want to implement is Puerto Rican eggnog, which is coquito.
Oh,
It
tell
is
me
by far
more
It's
immediately.
by far it's a coconut drink that based on two kinds of milk and two kinds of coconut milk. You can add rum, but you can have a virgin. You can just and add a little cinnamon, and it's by far the best thing ever. Like people talk about eggnog and all those different things. I'm like, I'm sorry, but like you have not tried the coquito. It's easy to make. It's like I don't know, it takes like 20 minutes to make, like at most. Like you just put it all together blender and then you just like have it and save it in the freezer.
Oh,
But
so
that's pretty
it's like a
much
frozen drink too
you can do
then.
frozen. You can do it like in save it on the fridge, but you can have it frozen and maybe like make add it to your coffee.
Oh, stop it. Oh my God. Okay, yeah, no, I will 100% be needing a recipe
I'll
to
send you the
share.
recipe.
Mhm.
I'll send you the recipe. You can put it on the show notes, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, we will share that. I will use that. And you had me at put it in your coffee. Like, oh my gosh. No, the ideas are brewing in my head right now.
Yeah. So I always say like that's like one thing I'm grateful for, that I'm Puerto Rican, that I grew up with that, you know. So like my parents, we've done it a couple times, and I think I'm gonna make it this year because I'm like it's so easy to make, and I'm like I might as well, you know.
And you live in
Um,
Florida, so I would imagine that it's still relatively warm,
it is.
during Christmas.
Yes, it is. It was like I think last year it was like in the 80s.
Oh,
So yeah, like global warming is happening. Usually Florida in Christmas time is around the 50s and 60s, but in the past year, like global warming, we got the 80s. But
pull out the
well,
eggnog.
yeah, so
You can't fix global warming overnight. However, you can make Puerto Rican eggnog.
yes, so that's the tradition I want to share.
I love it. Well, that is one that I will be adding to my traditions immediately because that sounds delicious and also easy. So I appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our book for today before we play our little holiday game. But today's reading selection is Snowed In with the Player by Rebecca Jenshak. And this contemporary siblings best friend romance was published in October 2022. It's available on Amazon for $2.99 Kindle edition. This is also the first book in Rebecca Jenshak's Holiday with the Players duet, though both books can be read as interconnected standalone novellas. They're also both fairly short reads. And by the time this episode airs, the second book in the series, Sneaking Around with the Player, will also be available to read as well. So if you want to read those bite-sized holiday romances back to back, now you can. So before we get into our chat about the book, I did want to play a quick game, and this is something we will be playing throughout the month of Boobsmas, and that is Tit or Tat. It is very much just the Boobsmas take on this or that. Aren't we clever? So first things first, all of the options for this game come directly from today's read. So if any of these interest you, you might want to check out these books. And we are going to start with something that I think will speak close to you, and that is Christmas in the Snow or Christmas by the Beach.
By the beach.
I knew that would be an easy one.
It's an easy one. It's where I moved. Like I was fine with the snow. I did the white Christmas. Been there, done that. Did that for 20 years, and then I was like, no,
We're
the
done.
opportunity for myself. We're done. We're done. I got rid of all my winter clothes, like all the coats and the sweaters. I
Mm-hmm.
have sweatshirts, but other than that, I don't have boots anymore or any snowy gear.
Yeah, you don't even have the option to have Christmas in the snow. You're like, I
No,
don't own the clothing. I'm not prepared.
no. After Christmas in Chicago, I was like, never again. Actually, February in Chicago,
Oh,
never
that's
again.
worst month. Worst month to ever be in Chicago, just so everybody knows.
Yeah,
It's not Thanksgiving through Christmas is actually very lovely in Chicago.
it is very lovely. Yeah,
February 1st, it is a
it is an
hailstorm. Like it
icicle.
is awful. It's a tundra.
It is a tundra. It's icicles with wind,
Yep.
events, and just like there was one day where I walked to get coffee, and that was like my outing every day because I live in Chicago during the pandemic. For all this listeners, so that I was my outing was to just go out to Starbucks, and it was just down the street. The whole street was covered in ice, and I
Terrible.
just like slip
Hmm.
and slide to get my coffee.
Yeah, it becomes a game. It's like it's me versus ice. Like who's
Yeah.
going to win today? And let me tell you, there is no feeling quite like feeling every hair in your nose when you're outside in Chicago. Like that was the first time I've been so cold that you genuinely feel the moisture within your nose like freezing.
Mhm.
What a great feeling. I miss it. Okay, anyway, next one. Elf or Home Alone?
Elf.
Good choice. NSYNC's Home for Christmas album or Mariah Carey's Merry Christmas album?
I think this is a tie. I gotta say, because I love Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and Justice for JC. Like, let's just give JC what it needs to. He needed to have the Justin Timberlake career. Have very strong feelings about this. But then, Mariah Carey was my childhood.
Mhm.
It was the first CD I got, when I was like a tween, like 11, 12.
Mhm.
Mariah Carey is just, yeah,
It's
it's a
fine.
tie.
I'm not going to make you choose. This is not a life or death situation. So, the more the merrier. In Sync and Mariah Carey, gangs all here.
Yeah.
Hot chocolate or hot apple cider?
Hot apple cider.
Okay. Skiing the slopes or reading by the fire?
Well, I don't know how to ski, so reading by the fire.
I mean, if you knew how to ski, would that change your answer?
No, no, no. I don't do cardio
Or snow. We already
or
established
snow.
that.
We don't do snow anymore. That's when they're done that. Never did that. I did go to apple picking, but
Mm,
I did never go. I never went to a ski trip or anything like that. That was too expensive. Like
yeah.
that shit is expensive. The
I
whole thing.
I tried skiing once. I tried snowboarding once. They were both an epic fail. And you know what? I'm tired of making excuses. I would prefer to be inside looking at the snow and sipping
Yeah.
hot chocolate. That I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with just sitting by the fire and just reading and doing nothing. Like I feel like that's like an ideal vacation.
Yes,
Like
and if
what's
you
the
if you
question?
have to justify it, if you have friends or family that are like, "But why? But why don't you want to go skiing or snowboard, whatever it might be?" You're not with the right people. You need to find the right people to surround yourself with that will fully support your staying inside and reading habit. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
It's
for
them.
sure.
They're the problem.
They are the problem.
And final one, and that is frosted sugar cookies or gingerbread men.
Frosted sugar cookies.
Okay.
Give me the frosting.
Yeah.
It's just a frosting.
Well, and I feel
And if
like
it's
with both of them, it's like a fun activity. Like you get to,
yeah.
frost them in different shapes, different designs. Like I like to do
Mhm.
dirty ones. I will say, like, for previous Boobsmas giveaways, I have given out naughty gingerbread cookie cutters before.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's been one of my crowning moments as a podcaster. But I could go either way. I like both of those cookies. I am a diehard chocolate chip gal though at heart.
I am a chocolate chip girl. Like there's different types of chocolate chip. I'm a connoisseur, but I think I'm not a big cookie person. I
Hmm.
think I'm more like a cakey
That's me too.
person. So like cakes, or even like donuts. I think Chicago converted me to donuts,
Oh,
but
Chicago is
yeah,
great too. Portland is also a great donut mecca.
yeah,
So feel
yeah.
free to visit anytime.
I did go to Portland. I did visit. I don't know. I quit when I quit my career about 10 years ago. I ended up quitting because I wanted to go to a conference in Portland. So I
Oh,
spent like my first week of fun employment and just like going to different donut places, eating my way around it. And I just need to come back. I need to do a trip so I can meet you and I can see
yes.
Sarah. Like it will be full circle. See my internet real life friends. Although we're moving next year,
Oh,
so
I
but I do.
know. I know. I know. Oh, that sounds so good though. Yeah. So really the answer is like secret option number 3, which is
Yeah.
Christmas donuts. But that's totally fine. Well, wonderful job. You nailed it. Great. Good on you. Happy holidays and all that jazz. So, let me give everyone a brief synopsis for today's read, and then we will dive into our discussion. And once again, this is Snowed In with the Player by Rebecca Jenshak. It was supposed to be a weekend of holiday cheer. Just me and my twin sister watching Christmas movies and baking cookies. My brother was absolutely not supposed to show up with half the football team, including Teddy, my brother's best friend and my secret crush. I'm the shy sister, the one with her nose stuck in a book and quoting every word of Elf, not the one getting attention from guys like Teddy. He's cool and smart and so handsome, I could die. This is like somebody who's supposed to be like 18 or 19 if they use the phrase, he's so handsome, I could die. The only thing that could make things worse is if I got snowed in with him alone. Okay, that makes it sound like it's like a murder book, and it's not, because we know when it comes to snowed in romance that things are going
Just
down.
one
Yeah.
bed.
Just one bed. It's too cold. We have to cuddle. Yeah, this book has got all of that. So,
Just one
I'll
bed.
ask you first, Laura. First of all, what are your opinions on Snowden romance in general?
So I think I love it. I love the fact it's just one bed, and we have to keep each other warm, and that's just the only thing we can do is just get it out of our system. So on paper, it's catnip for me, but at the same time, like the execution there needs to be more in the execution than just that's the whole thing, you know.
Yeah.
So, and I read quite a few Snowden. Like this is like it's a popular trope. You see it, you've been there, you've done that. And so it depends on the execution and like how did they get it done.
Right, right. And I agree. And I think, obviously you and I have a unique situation in that we've both spent a good amount of our years in places where it's not necessarily the snowiest climate
Mhm.
during the holidays. So I think for me, I enjoy reading them because it's so foreign to me that I've never had a white Christmas. And being able to read one and read people playing in the snow. I mean, it's the same reason I love watching like Hallmark Christmas movies. Is I love the escape, and part of the escape for me is the location. And I think this book is perfect for that, in that it's not, it is very much like a Snowden romance. However, it's a little bit different in that we have twin sisters, Stella and Holly, and this book is about Holly. The next book is about Stella. So that's the tie, right? I did that right, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. I think it's one or the other. It's one of the sisters. You
I
know.
want to
uh,
say this book is about Holly, and Stella's romance I think will be fun because we get like kind of a sneak peek about who her romance is going to be with in the next book.
it's set in Arizona.
Yeah, and they're visiting Arizona, which is what I thought was really interesting because I used to work with a guy from Flagstaff, Arizona, and I remember when he
Mhm.
told me that it snowed there, I was like, no, 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 no. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you're from Arizona. It doesn't snow there. And that was genuinely like the first time I learned that it snowed in Arizona. So I liked that it was, they're on break from college. It's not really about them going home to do the holidays with their family. It's more of that we need a pre-vacation, like before our vacation, which I don't know about you,
Mhm.
but it's like I love my family. But every time I visit them, when I come home to my apartment, I need like a 2-day buffer before I begin doing anything else. Like I love to be with them while I'm there, but then it's just exhausting, and you just need to like, and it's kind of the reverse in this case. It's the mental preparation of we're going to be home with our holidays. We're going to be doing so much Christmas crap because apparently their parents are like crazy into Christmas. And this is the little
Mhm.
time that we get for ourselves as sisters to hang out, to read, to ski, whatever. So that's kind of where the story starts. And then, of course, Teddy, the brother, no, not the brother, the
No, I
brother,
think the brother was decided to go to this cabin that the family
Felix.
owned, Felix, and he invited the football team because
Yeah,
he's part of the football
there's
team.
like five
Which,
of them. I'm just like, how
yeah,
are all these this is like such a college romance story. Like obviously it's not set at college, but this just takes me back to like when I'm thinking about how my friends and I, when we were in college, would go on these trips together, and there'd be like 8, 9 of us, and we're staying in like a
Mhm.
2-bedroom cottage by the beach. And I'm just like, wait a second. We're talking about, not only are these like, there's like 5 or 6 dudes, but they're all like college athletes, which means they're big guys, and they're all
Mhm.
staying in a 2-bedroom like cabin. Just, where are you putting them?
throwing a couch, like they were like, "Oh, you can stay in the couch. You
Yeah,
can
and
stay in
then
the
they
couch."
just
I'm like,
pass out on the floor, like whoever doesn't get a bed or a couch. And it's like when you're 18, 19, you can do that. You can sleep anywhere. You can sleep in a chair sitting up. Like you don't need anything. But I mean, once you cross, I don't know. I'm in my 30s now, and this isn't even like a remote possibility. Like bitch needs a bed.
I don't even share my own bed. Like I'm going to a conference and I'm not sharing a room with anyone. I'm like,
Mhm.
no, the job is paying me for my own room.
Mhm. Yeah,
to
no,
not share it, like, no, I don't know.
it's true. Yeah.
So,
So this is very indicative of like like just the situation alone. If you had just told me, oh, it's about like all these friends and who all are sharing a cabin together, my immediate thought would be, oh, they have to be like 18, 19. Like there's no way that
yeah.
these people are like grown ass adults. Like there's just no way.
Yeah, I was like, the whole idea, like they were in the parties and the drinking and the stuff. It's like it's very college, and
Yes.
this is what they do. Like
Hmm.
they're like, we're on break, we're doing nothing, we're gonna get hammered.
Yeah.
You-
We're going to drink and ski, and you know what, that's totally fine. So I think this is like one of those stories that's kind of like a perfect, like this was one of the first ones I read for this season, this holiday season, with
Mhm.
holiday reading in general. And I think it was like the perfect way to kickstart Christmas romance reading. Like this was the perfect way to segue into that, because it didn't feel like too Christmassy. Like there wasn't like an overabundance of holiday activities. It was more of like winter activities.
Yeah, like she wanted to do all these holiday activities, and it was kind of like annoying to see. And she's like,
Yeah.
I want to watch stuff, I want to do this, and everyone's like, no, let's just party, let's just ski, let's just
Oh, and
chill
can we
out.
talk about the fact that they watch, I think it's Elf. They watch Elf and then they like keep
Yeah,
watching it. Like they leave it
yeah,
on in the background like several times in a row, and I'm just like, look, I get it. Elf is on TV 24 hours a day like in the month of
yeah.
December, but you have options. Why are you just leaving Elf on every hour of the day?
Maybe they love it as much as I love Devil Wears Prada. Like that movie comes up and I watch it in the background. Like put it on the
Mhm,
background. Like it's just
mhm.
it is a comfort. So maybe that's their comfort. It's their comfort blanket.
And I do love Elf. Don't get me wrong. I am not here
Yeah.
to hate on Elf. I think it is a national treasure. However, there are other Christmas movies, other things to do. I do love the fact that they come up with like a drinking game to go with Elf, and that is
Yeah.
something that I would be very happy to play in the future.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's just other Christmas movies to watch.
There are, and there's a whole channel. There's multiple channels,
Yeah,
to watch Christmas movies. That's what I was learning as I'm learning things to Brie, like Brie
of
from
course.
Categorical Romance.
Yes.
So there's multiple channels to watch.
Well, and as in typical the snowed in part of the holiday romance comes in when Holly, because of course her name needed to be either Holly or Noelle. We know that this is like
Yeah,
the rules of writing a Christmas romance is
Christmas.
somebody needs to be named Holly or Noelle. So it's when Holly and Teddy get snowed in. It's not even really they get snowed in. They're at the cabin, and the Felix and Stella and like the rest of the gang have gone back to where their parents live in Arizona, to like run an errand or whatever, and they get snowed in coming back. So Teddy
Mhm.
and Holly are stuck together all alone. Oh, and the power goes out, and ooh, the heat turns off. Ooh, we gotta cuddle up to save that heat, right? I mean, it's all the classics, like, and there's definitely one of those mutual pining aspects of it where they've each been harboring a crush on the other. Although this book is told in single POV from Holly, so really you're only
Mhm.
getting Holly's side of things. She's telling you like how she's had a crush on him for so long, and it's not until later that we find out that Teddy has as well. Of course, I have to say, when it comes to like siblings best friend, I think the real peeve that I have with a lot of them is there's always it's usually the brother. There's always the brother that's like pissed off that his friend is, how dare you look at my sister that way. And it gets very gross and territorial. And I will say, in this book, I was pleasantly surprised that Teddy and Holly had the discussion. They're like, oh, well, we have to tell him that, we're into each other. And so I kept thinking, oh God, here we go. Something's going to happen. He's going to be upset. And then they just kind of, it's not even that they like tell him. It's just like they all go to this dance together and they're like hanging all over each other and like dancing together. And her brother's like, oh, so is this like happening? And they're like, yeah. And that's it. There's no conflict whatsoever.
Like, really, there wasn't any much conflict in this book. Like, it was just like an easygoing. Like, the conflict was like, I lost power. It was external conflict. There was like no internal conflict. No like other people like trying to break them apart or anything like that. They were just like, okay, we like each other. Moving on. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the only conflict that they have, which is I guess sort of the third act breakup moment, which is very brief, is it ties more into the next book and the characters in the next book, because you find out that like one of their friends, their teammates, was injured by this other player. Oh, spoiler alert, he's going to be the love interest in the next book. And there's just kind of like an argument about whether or not he actually hurt their teammate on purpose or whatever. And because Stella is interested in him, her sister Holly wants to back up Stella, but then Teddy wants to back up his teammate. So I don't know. It's not the conflict that I would have necessarily chosen, just because I feel like it doesn't really have anything to do with either of them. Like it's very much on the periphery, and I always want the conflict to be much more between the two people involved, or whether it's an internal struggle of their own, or I don't love a miscommunication, but at least with a miscommunication it's between the two of them, as opposed to it being something that doesn't really have anything to do with them or affect them in any way.
Yeah, there wasn't much conflict here. It was just like, okay, there's a conflict here, and then they get over it.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Well, and it's, that I kind of like that, especially in holiday romance, because I think when people sit down to read a holiday romance, they don't necessarily want to read a lot of angst or conflict. I think we're reading a lot more novellas versus novels when it comes to holiday content. So this is very much like a quick, bite-sized romance. It's relatively on like the PG-13, I don't know, because there is some like explicit sex on the page. However, it's very brief and it's not as raunchy as others. So
this is not on the spice level. This is just like a regular, like medium, like not even medium, like a low spice. Like, it's a low spicy, like low. It's not close to R, but it's not medium or jalapeno or whatever peppers you want to
No
put in it.
jalapenos for this one. It's just like a mild bell pepper.
Yeah.
I did, but you know what? That being said, I did highlight a specific section as my sexcerpt for this book because, I don't want us to make it sound like, even though I just compared it to a mild bell pepper, that there's no, sexy times in this, because I think that is another misconception we have about a lot of holiday romance. Although I do think it is a truth about a lot of holiday romance that when there isn't angst, there also isn't a lot of sex or open door sexy times. So anytime I do get to read a sex scene or any sort of like explicit content in a holiday romance, color me excited. And so this one did have a couple brief moments, and the one I highlighted takes place when they're at a party, and it's like a party put on by the lodge, a Christmas party, and they all go, they dress up, and Teddy and Holly sneak away to go outside. I think they're outside because I do remember making a note where I was like, y'all are outside where it's cold in the snow. Like, I don't know. I don't know if you could pay me. I don't know if there's anybody hot enough that would make me want to like go out in like cold, I don't want to say negative temperatures, but like frozen temperatures to like have a hookup. That just doesn't entice me. Okay, but this is the section that I chose when they do, slip away from the party. So I'll just read a brief section so you have an idea of the steam level. He tells her to turn around. I comply, facing the other direction. His hand drops to my thigh and then slowly grazes up and underneath the skirt of my dress. If anyone were to walk out here, we'd look like a happy couple cuddling in the night. But under my dress, Teddy's fingers push my panties to the side and rub small circles over my clit. Not fair. I can't reach you. My words are breathy and goosebumps race up my arms. Teddy sweeps my hair away from my neck to kiss me. Just enjoy, sweetheart. He nudges my legs farther apart. I let my head fall back on his shoulder as his fingers pump in and out of me at a slow, torturous pace. Here's my favorite part. The Christmas waltz plays inside, and occasionally happy voices and laughter filter out with the music. Okay, like there's more after that as he like continues to finger her, but I'm just like, wait a second. We had to, because this is how my mind would think, is I would be like, oh my God, we're outside a Christmas party. Like, you know, the voyeurism part of that is like kind of hot to me. I know it's not everybody's thing, but anybody could walk out at any time. Ooh, but yeah, I would still be like I'd be like, oh my God, I can listen. I hear what song they're playing. Oh my God, I just heard somebody like bring out a round of appetizers. Like I think women especially have like such a hard time turning off our brains at all, let alone during sex, that it's just like, of course she noticed that the Christmas waltz was playing.
And the choice of song, the Christmas waltz.
Right, of all the Christmas songs, the Christmas waltz. Yeah, I don't know. What would be the sexiest Christmas song to get down to? And then what would be like the least sexy Christmas song?
I think it might be a Michael Bublé, one of those like Christmas,
I mean, his voice is just sexy, so
yeah, those crooners who just like give you like that kind of like blah, 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 you know. And then I think the least sexiest probably will be Mariah Carey.
No,
You know?
the least sexy, really?
Like I don't like, it's just because it's like you hear it every year,
Yeah,
over and over and over and over.
that's
it's
true.
Like, it's in your head.
I guess it would depend, like if it was like December 1st and like it was playing for the first time, like maybe you'd be really into it. But if it was like Christmas Eve,
it's been playing since November 1st. Like, let's just think.
That's true. I have to back it up to Halloween.
Yeah, like we started November 1st. She unfroze, like she like basically broke out her icicle into the song.
Yeah,
November 1st.
Yeah.
So by Christmas Eve, you're just like, okay, can you just get over it?
That's true. I guess a part of me would be like, oh God, like not oh God and oh God. Yeah, no, that's a good point. I didn't think about that, but you're on to something that way. For me, I'm totally with you on Michael Bublé. Like he could sing the ABCs and it would be sexy. But Santa Baby, I think, is definitely like a sexy, you know, just the beat of it and everything is really sexy. Yeah. And then I don't know why this one stands out to me, but I think there's a lot of older Christmas songs that are just very slow and a little too Jesus-y to be sexy to me. But the one that I think of is The Good King Wenceslas. Like, and I'm just like,
I don't think I've heard the song.
I think they sing it more in the UK, but Good King Wenceslas dun 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 on the dun dun dun. And I'm just like, I don't know. I just feel like I would just start laughing. Like, I don't think there would be anything sexy about that. Yeah. The Christmas waltz, apparently Holly was okay with. So, did you have a steamy excerpt that you wanted to share, or was that plenty?
No, because I did not. There was plenty. There was not that many to skim through. As many of you know, I'm a returning guest. I skimmed through the sex scenes.
Yes, ma'am.
So there's a lot of sex scenes to skim through. I just skimmed through a lot, and this one, I told you, I was like, there was not that many to skim through. That just means
more book for you to read. Then I guess.
Yes, but there's something joyful about skimming through the book.
You're like, oh, they're doing it again. Next. Yeah, no, overall, quick bite-sized read. I know Laura and I were
Yeah.
talking about this before we started recording, but we both have already pre-ordered the second book, because it's just, they're quick, they're easy. I definitely am invested because I feel like the next book might have like a little bit more drama, what with the setup between Stella and, I forget his name, but the other football player that kind of, he's like the enemy football player. So,
Bo. I think it's Bo.
okay.
Bo.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see what goes down there. But yeah, I like this idea of doing a couple quickies as opposed to like one large holiday novel.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the quickies. I'm invested in Rebecca's writing. Like, I
Hmm.
actually do buy her books, and so I read her hockey romance series, and then I read her base basketball
I
series.
love her sports romance.
Her college, and they're all set in the same college, and I'm like,
Hmm.
this college has like everything else. Like, they're so top notch in basketball, hockey, and now football. I'm like, what's next? Tennis or
They've
pickleball? I don't
cornered
know.
cornered the sports market apparently on all fictional universities.
And they all win national champions.
Yeah.
Like, they all win national.
Well, there you go. I mean, something for people to keep in mind, when we move beyond the holiday season, that Rebecca Jenshak has a lot more romance to read, especially sports romance, if you are a fan of sports romance. And I know we both are, so lucky us.
Yes, indeed.
Well, let's go ahead. Seeing as this is a bite-sized, mini pod that we're doing here for the month of Boobsmas, let's go ahead and give this book a few quick ratings as we wrap up. And for the holiday season, in addition to our normal ratings for heart, humor, and heat, we also add a special rating, and that is for holiday. Got to get that holiday rating in. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the very best that it could possibly be for you, of course, let's start with heart. What do you think?
I think 3.
3? I love that
Wait,
you're just so matter of fact about like, oh, it's a 3.
I think honestly, out of 5, it's a 3. Out of a 10, it's 5. Halfway through, like not it's average. It's.
Yeah, and I think because what's interesting about like such a quick book like this is, yes, they've both harbored feelings for each other for a while now, it seems, but then you also have to like kind of check yourself and remember like, oh, but they're in college, like it's a crush, it's not necessarily, although I do think they say I love you at the end of the book, which might have been a little bit sudden for my personal taste, but
Mhm.
I'm not here to judge. I wrote a holiday romance where they also say I love you at the end. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm probably gonna go a little bit higher. I might give it like a 4.5 for heart. I am curious to see what happens in the next book because I feel like maybe we'll get to see more of the family. Maybe we'll get to see more of like everybody. So there might be a little more heart, but who knows? We will have to wait and see. So, humor, what do we think?
I think it's still a 3.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's going to be below like the middle of the road for me. It's not that there were some cute moments, and I think it's very lighthearted. Like they talk about them watching movies. The guys kind of like rib each other. One of the guys can like never tell the sisters apart, which I think that's the one thing I love in any romance with twins is you want to make sure that like the suitor can tell the twins apart. And I liked that, Teddy knew exactly which one Stella was and who, Holly was at all times. So, yeah, I'm going to give it like a 3 or a 4 though. Cause it just, again, it's not that it was bad. It just wasn't really there. So, I'm curious what your heat rating is going to be.
It's a 2. 2 or 1. It's not closed door, but it's not like anything like, like
Yeah.
anything to write home about it.
Right. Well, and on the boobies and newbies scale, to keep things, in perspective, I always rate at least a 5, so long as there is an open door sex scene. This one I would maybe bump up to a 6 just because we do get one of my personal favorites, which is dry humping and grinding. Oh, I love to read it. I love it. I love reading it. So we do get like one of those scenes. We get the scene that I just read from. So there are a couple of scenes and they are open door. So I will bump it up to a 6, but I respect Your sad little two. Now, I have a feeling that holiday rating might even be the highest one amongst all of them. So I'd love to
Yeah.
hear holiday rating.
I would say like a 6
Okay.
because they use a lot of like elf, Christmas cookies, snow,
Yeah.
skiing,
You can
all
give
the
it a
all the
6
holiday.
for the
Yeah.
6 times that they watch Elf in this book.
Yeah.
Like, at least.
Yeah. So, it has the holiday elements in
Mhm.
it. Is it the most Christmas book? No, but there's potential there.
Yeah, and I think it's because it ends at Christmas time and we see like some little snippets of like the family getting together for like actual
Mhm.
Christmas. But again, I think it's a little more winter centric than it is Christmas. So I'm with you. I think I'm going to give it like a 6.5. Again, I'm wondering if the next book kind of picks up where this one left off or if there's going to be some timelines kind of running concurrently. So I'm excited to read the next one, but maybe that one will be a little more holiday-ish. I don't
Yeah.
know. Not that we have any shortage of holiday reads this season for us to enjoy. So, Laura, where can the fine folks at home find and follow you, and especially gear up and listen to an episode that we're recording together about spicy holiday romance?
Yeah, so you can find me at Spotify, iTunes, and wherever you listen to your podcast. It's the What to Read Next podcast. And also we also have a one-stop shop called whattoreadnextblog.com, and that's where all the podcast episodes are there. There's plenty of author interviews. Probably I've interviewed your favorite author. There might be an author interview there.
Yes.
But right now I'm gearing up to do a lot of holiday content. So we're actually during this time period, you'll find Kelly has a couple episodes about spicy holiday romance, and we also have a couple more holiday content releasing. So check out the whattoreadnextblog.com, and there will be your source of truth of all the holiday stuff.
And of course, you also have What to Listen Next, which
I do.
spotlights audiobooks and podcast
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah, so that's like the new blog that's happening. So there will be narrator lists and all the things about audiobooks and help you, especially romance audiobooks, like help you figure out how to find them, how to get good deals, and what to listen next. So you can have some spicy things on your headphones.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and especially the reason I try to keep these episodes a little bit shorter when it comes to the holidays is I just know that there's so much travel, there's so much cooking, there's so much cleaning, like so many things go into like preparing for the holidays that you just need these like short little mini episodes and audiobooks to listen to get you through all of it and keep you sane, hopefully, while you do it.
Yes.
That's us. But anyway, of course, you can follow Boobies and Newbies across all of the places I listed at the beginning of the episode. Now, there's still plenty of Boobsmas to come, so stay tuned for the next episode. And let's be honest, you won't be waiting long. 12 episodes in 24 days means the next day of Boobsmas is just around the corner. But until then, Laura and I will leave you with this. On the 4th day of Boobsmas, my lover gave to me 4 dukes of fucking. Take it away, Cooper.
On the 4th day of Boobsmas, my lover gave to me 4 dukes of fucking, 3 butt plugs, 2 nipple clamps, and a heart hooked up underneath